A ceramic drain beneath the southern gate of an ancient Chinese town had failed. Mud and debris were clogging the pipe. Rainwater had nowhere to go, and it was building up inside the walls. The residents did not wait for anyone to fix it. They picked up their tools and cut a new channel through the same ground, forcing the water out and away from their homes. 4,000 years later, archaeologists found that blocked pipe. They found the replacement ditch beside it, and then they found something bigger. That one repair was not an isolated fix. It was one small piece of an entire drainage network running beneath the streets, the houses, and the walls of the town. The site is called Pingliangtai, in what is now Henan Province, central China. People lived here around the time traditionally linked to the dawn of China's earliest dynasty, an age when most tools were still made of stone, and cities themselves were still a new idea. And yet, underneath this small settlement of only a few hundred people was a coordinated system of interlocking ceramic pipes, shared channels, and household drains, all directing water safely out through the town gates. Here is the part that stopped archaeologists in their tracks. They searched for the palace. They searched for a royal tomb, some elite compound where a ruler could have issued the order to build all this. They found none of it. So who planned a project this complex? And how did a town this small keep it running for generations? Let's start with why they needed it at all. Pingliangtai sat on a floodplain. The town was built on a raised platform, a little higher than the land around it. But that was never going to be enough. Summer storms in this region could dump enormous amounts of rain in a short time, turning footpaths into streams within minutes. For a town built from packed earth, mud, wood, and thatch, that water was an existential threat. It could soften the walls holding up every house. It could ruin stored grain. It could make the streets impossible to cross. If the water had nowhere to go, the whole town would be in danger. So the people of Pingliangtai built a system in stages. Small ditches ran beside individual houses, catching rainwater right where it fell. Those ditches fed into larger, shared channels used by multiple households. From there, the water entered ceramic pipes, buried beneath the roads. They carried it under the town gates and out toward the moat beyond the walls. It was a two-tier system. Private drains fed into public infrastructure, and public infrastructure protected everyone. When researchers mapped every pipe, every ditch, every road and building together, the pattern became unmistakable. This wasn't a scattering of random trenches. The drains followed the shape of the town itself, and the water moved, step by step, from someone's backyard to the far side of the city wall. Now look closer at the pipes themselves. Each ceramic section was roughly a foot long, about as wide as a large dinner plate. One end was slightly narrower than the other, so the sections slotted into each other like a chain, and workers could extend the line as far as they needed without firing one impossibly long pipe. That mattered for repairs too. If one section cracked, you didn't rebuild the whole line, you replaced the piece. And the slope had to be just right. Many sections dropped only 2 to 5 inches over every 3 feet of pipe. Stand above one of these lines and it would look almost flat to your eye. But that gentle angle was exactly enough to keep water flowing toward the edge of town, without moving so fast that it would tear the joints apart or wash out the soil around them. Too little slope and mud settles and clogs the pipe. Too much, and the water becomes destructive. The builders of Pingliangtai had no textbooks on hydraulic engineering. They learned this balance through trial, failure, and repair, like the blocked pipe at the southern gate, cut open, rerouted, and made to work again. This, more than the pottery itself, is the real discovery. Building a network like this once is a technical achievement. Keeping it working, generation after generation, is something else entirely. It requires people to agree on where water should go. It requires households to keep their private drains connected to the shared system, because a blocked channel outside one home could just as easily flood the house next door. Normally, when archaeologists find engineering on this scale, they look for the ruler behind it. A king gives the order. Officials organize the labor. Workers carry out the plan. That is how most of the ancient world's canals, walls, and monuments came to exist. But at Pingliangtai, that story does not fit. The houses here are modest and strikingly similar in size to one another. The burials show no dramatic gap between rich and poor. There is no palace looming over the town, and no royal tomb stacked with the symbols of absolute power. None of that proves Pingliangtai had no leaders at all. Someone likely coordinated the work, settled disputes, decided when repairs were urgent. Archaeology cannot show us every meeting that ever happened inside those walls, but what the evidence does suggest is this. This drainage system may not have needed a king at all. It may have simply needed neighbors who understood that everyone had something to lose. Floodwater does not respect property lines. A blocked drain outside one house becomes a flooded home 2 doors down. A single broken section of pipe can undo the work of an entire street. In a town like this, cooperation was not a virtue. It was survival. So the people of Pingliangtai may have built one of the most complete drainage systems of the ancient world, not because someone with power forced it into existence, but because no one could afford for it to fail. Think about that the next time a summer storm floods a modern parking lot or backs up a city street. Somewhere, an engineer is solving, with concrete and computer models, the very same problem a small walled town without a king solved 4,000 years earlier, with fired clay and a careful eye for a gentle slope. There are limits to what this discovery tells us. These pipes were not sewers. There's no evidence they carried waste or delivered drinking water. Their job was rainfall and flood control, nothing more. And Pingliangtai was not the first place on Earth where people managed water. People had been digging ditches and redirecting streams for a very long time before this. What makes this site remarkable is the combination. Household drains, shared public channels, interlocking ceramic pipes, gates, a moat, and generations of repair, all inside one small planned settlement. It's one of the earliest, most complete urban drainage systems found anywhere in prehistoric China. The pipes cannot tell us the name of the person who designed this system. They cannot tell us if one respected elder made the decisions or if the whole town argued it out together at some long-vanished meeting place. But they preserve something that palaces and royal tombs usually erase. The evidence that ordinary people without a throne between them solved an ordinary problem together, at the scale of an entire town. No palace has ever been found above this drainage system. No king's name survives beside it. What survives is the blocked pipe at the southern gate, and the ditch someone cut beside it 4,000 years ago to make sure the water had somewhere to go.